guess Australians put a lot of faith in their governments. We have to. That's the model that we've got. That's what we're stuck with. Why is it, do you think, that governments, by and large, federal, state, and even local, in many instances, haven't been able to have a look at this argument and find real alternatives? Or is that in fact happening?
That's happening. And the reality is right now in New South Wales, there are 20 gigawatts of renewable projects seeking planning approval right now. To put that in perspective, New South Wales peak demand is 15 gigawatts. So that's happening right now. Our grid is currently 20% renewably powered. By 2025, it's projected to be 50% renewable. And if you look at the Australian Energy Market Operator projections through their integrated network plan, by 2032-34, coal is down to about 10-15% of the mix, and the rest of it's made up with solar, wind, and gas, and storage, grid storage.
So this is a good thing, right?
It's happening. And what's driving it is the economics. The problem with how it's happening is because the government has just let it run and not sort of kind of taken a view to say, look, this transition is probably going to happen. How do we make it occur to maximise the benefit of our population and minimise the cost to the society overall? In the absence of that kind of leadership, it's just free for all in the market. And that leads to a range of inefficiencies. There's companies going pop, it's development that is not fit for the grid. So now, if you're a grid operator, they're having enormous headaches because the market's just driven where people are building this stuff all over the place. Like what we probably should have done 10 years ago is say, what would make sense where? And my passion is, this is the greatest opportunity for regional Australia in a long, long time. We spend in this region alone about $1 billion a year on energy. And at the moment, it jumps out of our pockets and heads to shareholders in faraway places and foreign-owned companies. At the very least, it goes to the cities, And so here we have an opportunity to turn that back and actually say, no, it's our sunshine, it's our wind. Why don't we build and own and operate the infrastructure with the help of financial institutions, of course, but why wouldn't we do that and then divert some of that money into our own communities? And then you've got a long-term revenue stream, if you like, to provide that kind of service level that regional Australia needs and which otherwise is hard to cost because there are less people, they are further apart.
So this is really like seeing local governments at least take the situation into their own hands and make their own decisions, despite a Prime Minister lovingly holding a lump of coal in Parliament like it was a Kinder Surprise.
Yeah, well, look, and that was surprising, it's a good term. Look, that's exactly it, and in many ways it's back to the future, Janine, because these guys, that's what used to happen, we ran our own grids. If you go to Tamworth, you can see, I think it was 1886, the steam engine is still there from Australia's very first electrical streetlights. That was done by council at that time. And so what's happened is that, we've gone through this period where it wasn't economically or technically feasible for local governments to do that, other than say, Mount Isa or some of the more remote places. Now we can, and the other thing that people I think sometimes struggle with is the scale is actually quite doable. Even a town like of Bathurst with 45,000 people, we have a 30 megawatt resting load, up 60 megawatt peak roughly. That's about the same as a cruise ship. It's not an astounding amount of energy.
No.
It's maybe 30 hectares of solar panels would do that in a battery. It's not, we could do that. That's just, a few panels around the airport. It's not inconceivable anymore. And I just think it makes so much sense for local governments to be involved in this stage because they are the entity within rural and regional communities that actually has the interest and capacity and imprimatur to share that benefit amongst the local community.